was 16 when this terrifying event took place, and I'm sharing it with you now, even though I'm 24, because it's a chilling tale that still haunts my nightmares. It was Halloween in my small town, and the night was unusually hot and muggy. I was out with my older sister and our friend Tina, both of them dressed up for this spooky occasion. My sister was a cat, and Tina went as a Little Red Riding Hood. I, on the other hand, decided to be a zombie prom queen. Complete with a formal gown, I was melting in the heat. Our plan was to meet my mom at the park next to City Hall at 9 p.m. At around 8:40, most of the other kids had cleared out of the streets, and we had about 6 blocks to go. I was eager to get home because it was so dang hot. My sister stopped to chat with a friend, but I decided to keep going. Mom would be pretty upset if we were late, but as I walked alone in the dark, I started to feel uneasy. The dim yellow streetlights cast eerie shadows, and the silence was unsettling. As I continued walking, I heard a truck approaching from behind. I stepped off the road to let it pass. The same black truck passed me several times. At least, I thought it was the same truck. The third time, the truck slowed down, and that's when my fear intensified. It had tinted windows, and I couldn't see who was inside. As I strained to make out a face, the truck suddenly sped away. With only 3 blocks to go, I could hear the truck approaching again. And this time, I was terrified. I started to run, but it was too late. The truck was too close. I remember the driver reached out and grabbed a fistful of my hair and hit the gas. I was being dragged alongside the truck. I clawed at the arm that had hold of my hair, crying and screaming, feeling helpless. My worst fear was that I would trip and be run over. I don't recall what the driver was doing because I was in sheer terror. The ordeal ended as suddenly as it had begun, with the man releasing my hair, and I fell to the ground, my dress torn and my palms scraped. I think I passed out. My head felt like it was burning. I was inconsolable, hyperventilating, and terrified. I finally stood up and looked around. No one was around to help me. I was a block and a half away from where the truck had started pulling me. I walked across the street to the park, and I curled up on the sand next to a slide, crying. It seemed like I was there for hours. When my mother finally found me and saw the blood on my face and dress from my scraped hands, she was horrified. She called the paramedics, and I was treated. Days later, we went to the police station and filed a report, but ultimately, nothing came of it. Last year, when I was helping my mother clean out the attic, I found a newspaper article from the same year as the incident, with a picture of me in my torn zombie prom queen dress. Really, Mom? The headline read, "Local teen recovers from hit and run." The article detailed how a driver had struck a girl dressed as a zombie prom queen and fled the scene, leaving her battered and bleeding on the road. I realized that the man who had grabbed me and dragged me alongside his truck was not the same person who had hit me. The man in the truck had tried to save me. He wanted to get me out of harm's way, but I had misinterpreted his actions in my panic. Honestly, I don't know how I feel, or if I even remember what actually happened. It was a frightening situation either way. I have not been trick or treating in 8 years. I felt like this time I could. I'm going with my sister and her 2 kids. I'm sure I will not let that little hand go the whole evening.